This episode of the Everblack Podcast is brought to you by Deathwish, Hotrods and Kustoms. Check out their Instagram for all their new t-shirts, caps, beanies, cups, and the all-new Atomic Death lineup.
So I just got my cup of coffee, and I really like that poster behind you, Cult Leader. That's an amazing band,
Mate. That album is that was from when they toured here with friends of mine, Low, and fuck, dude, like incredible band, and I got it on vinyl last week.
To Ackley's, that song just
right, I know, hey. Just the atmosphere. Something you guys are really good at. You know what? That would be an incredible show.
I would love to tour with Cult Leader. I think they are on our wish list of bands that we would like to tour with because, they got the dynamics right.
Yeah.
And the feeling. I think, when it comes down to it all, like, it doesn't matter if you're brutal or if you're like death technical. Like, if I don't feel anything, I couldn't care less.
That's it. Hey, man, that's exactly right. And if you do that to it, so you got to do it down here. You got to make that promise right now.
Well, I can't do any promises, but we would just really love to go. Like COVID willing.
Yeah, I know. What's that about? I know, right? Kim, thanks for joining us on the show, man. It's really, really cool you could join us. Hey, you did this festival on the weekend, didn't you? Was it what's it called? Aalborg?
Aalborg Metal Festival. It's an old festival. I think it's one of the oldest, metal festivals in Denmark. That was nice. I got to step on people's faces and run to the back of the bar and scare people down there. That's the freedom of wireless microphones.
That's it. Hey, I'm with you on that. I'm used to jumping out and running into the crowd and doing all that kind of thing. It's fun. Well, hey, if you're gonna do it properly.
Yeah, but we do play introvert music in some sense, right? But I am the main extrovert guy in the band, so I kind of feel like I have a responsibility to kind of channel, or at least channel some of the emotion that the guitars and all the other stuff is invoking.
That's right.
Putting a face to all of that. So it's kind of fun. Especially when people see us live the first time when we went to the UK for our first tour with Svalbard back in the day, I know the reviewers were really shocked, especially the one in Camden Town when we went in and they're like, they expected, some really shoegazing guys glancing at their shoes. Well, I do come from hardcore, and one of my greatest idols must be Just Gogan from the Chariot and 68, right? Yeah. So that's where I come from. His sense of presence that just inspired me through my teens. So it's really nice to kind of under promise and over deliver, and and in some sense, taking the crowd by storm, or at least with their pants down in some sense. I feel that's one of my main job. That's at least my main job in some sense as a showman.
100%. I come from that kind of school. Well, not so much the hardcore, but the metal side of things. But a lot of my favorite frontmen are the crazy ones that, you feel it. I don't know about you, man, but it's like electricity. As soon as you hit that stage, you can feel it all through your body. And I can't stand still. It's like restless legs, It's the way to do it.
Yeah. Well, but, in the end, I feel like music is there to guide your emotions, or at least, well, have you heard our first album?
Jorg.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Okay. So
that's how you pronounce it, right? Jorg.
Yeah.
Jorg.
Yuan. It means earth. At that time when we recorded that, that was actually, I think, my way of, on a more serious note, like that was my way of reconciling myself with the thought of ending up in the ground someday, and not going, somewhere else. I've come from a family with like pretty intense, extreme religious environments. So your was actually my way of trying to well, Møl actually found me like burnout, and I had a half year of sick leave, and that's when we wrote your.
Wow.
So I couldn't say it at that time, but that was my way of trying to, essentially grieve over my lost faith. But so Diorama is actually, like, I think the continuation of that. When you experience like loss of meaning, what do you end up with? We end up with each other. We end up with our family. We end up with our history. We end up with that life that's suddenly like pretty fucking short, and you have to like do something with it. That's at least the urgency that I felt. So repairing, or at least kind of looking into the crevices of what makes me me, and how can I become like a good husband. I just recently got engaged, so like next
congrats,
year.
dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, my fiance and I, like, I think she's helped me a lot during this. I've seen my own therapist, but she's actually a psychologist herself.
Oh, wow.
So like she's seen what I've gone through. Like she's experienced it. We met each other like just when I was like getting ready to get back to my studies and finishing my bachelor in social science. So yeah, like I feel at least that Møl has been the perfect canvas for me to try to paint a picture, or at least go through that process of working through things. I actually used these songs on Diorama as a framework to talk to my parents about all of the stuff that we've been through.
Wow. Has that been?
And
how did they react to that so far?
Actually pretty good. This is how it is now, right? But I know that it's like a picture. When you're a kid and you draw pictures of your family to for other people to see, there's just a lot you can get out of that. So essentially, I feel like the music, or at least some of the songs, especially the two last ones that are in Danish, that I have some sense of privacy in that sense. Yes. But I brought those songs to my father and was like, we have to talk about this. Like, this is how I felt. This is how I feel about these things. And it's just way easier to talk about that when you have it in front of you, and you're not pointing the guy in the face and being like, you did something wrong, I did something, we have we had a really lovely evening, and it was really hard because at the same time I felt him being like really proud of me, but also like I didn't see that that was his reaction. Like it kind of just hit me, when your grown-ass son comes home to you and tries to talk to you about feelings that you don't necessarily want to acknowledge, or but in some sense you have to acknowledge if you want to acknowledge that we still have to have a relationship. So I just felt a great deal of respect, and it's been ongoing conversation, but that's just to say that this has been quite impactful for me personally. And I'm really grateful to have amazing friends that knows where I come from and have given me the space. Like, I entered this band being totally burned out. We're starting at zero. And it takes if it was some other outfit with maybe more, I'd say, I think we were professional about it, but these guys have gone from being my colleagues to being some of my best friends, because we've just experienced stuff together.
Yeah, man. That's, man, I could imagine how hard that would have been for you, but writing those songs and going through that process, writing is a very personal thing. And then you know what I mean? And usually it's open to interpretation. And I mean, this album is incredible, by the way.
It still is, it still is open to interpretation. I've heard people connect, that's the thing about the music, and I like the obscurity of the Danish language in some sense, because a lot of people here in Denmark really, really connect with those two songs that for me feels kind of, I display that vulnerability.
Yes.
Or at least but it's it's only a couple of million that knows the language. So in some sense I feel that I can put on that mask for the rest of the world. And talking to you, I'm just tipping that mask just a bit, but I'm not I'm not dropping it.
No, I understand that one. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand.
So that is, that is what music is to me. It's the mask that I put on. And I feel for a long time that, especially with metal, it's easy to display rage. It is. It's easy to seem like you're angry. But I had experiences during concerts, performing, there's one particular experience, when we had our release show of our first really headliner show in Copenhagen, touring with Cabal, and it was at a venue called Beta, I think. I was so tired that day, and I can remember kind of blacking out, but what people experienced was just some madmen just really going into it, and I was scared as shit out of, I can't remember that concert. They just told me you were bonkers. And I feel I remember calling Nikolai, our main songwriter, and I'm scared, I'm really scared. What was this? I was drained, but that I was drained of energy before I came to the gig. So I feel that was just, the lid blowing off the, blowing off the, essentially I felt like I exploded. And that was the time where I realized, there's something hidden. You have to process this. So that's one of the experiences that got me to at least realize I needed to, go see a therapist.
Yeah. See, I struggled with that for a little while, man, as well, because I was worried that if I misused that or spoke about it, that I would lose that musical, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to channel that into writing. You know what I mean? I was afraid to let go. I mean, I've just hit 40, man. So like literally this week. So everything's come crashing down. But it's I don't know how old you are.
I felt the same thing when I hit 30.
Oh yeah, it's like the sequel, dude. But it's and it's a hard thing. You have to let go of part of that yourself, and as well keep that honesty with yourself as well, and not it's that line between I'm trying to, put this into words as well. It's not easy, is it? As a songwriter and yeah, I know what you're saying is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, like it, it's just there's at least parts of myself that I had to confront, and I feel at least up until that point I tried to simulate a feeling that I wasn't really comfortable about.
Yes.
So it's easier just to go out and then go back to work and be like this really civilized, nice person. But anger is just it's just such a taboo feeling. It is. When you see a guy not, I'm happy that I have a stage that I can stand on and behave like a madman. But if I was doing that out in the park, they would call the cops.
100%.
Yeah, there's the madman. There's one. He's really fucking angry. And I've had this conversation with a lot of my friends. Like you're just not allowed. People are scared.
Yes.
And you can become scared of yourself. But I never saw myself like as an angry person until I started seeing a therapist, because but it was actually finding out there's more than those two poles. I had two reaction strategies. The one was, take those feelings, bury them deep down, and then smile and say like, yeah, right. And the other one, explode on stage. Those were the two things. And he said, yeah, my therapist said like, that's it's nice that you have a shortcut to that, but you have to be able to address that while you're sitting with people and say like, I'm actually pretty angry with you. I'm not going to tear your face off, but you have to understand that feeling is actually a way of protecting yourself. Because if not, you're just gonna stomp that stuff down, and then somewhere you'll explode somewhere on the road in the face of somebody you love. Or
I think we've all been there. You know what I mean? And we are lucky, to have that outlet. I know a lot of people don't. I feel sorry for ones that don't have that musical outlet. But you're also a brilliant artist as well, man. Like, I guess do you channel into that as well?
Sure. But I think I found this, coming back to what I said there, like, I think I found out that there are, healthier ways to go about with addressing your feelings. But in the first place, with acknowledging that they're there, that, I've grown up in an environment where anger was a sin. And there's just a lot of feelings, a lot of parts of yourself that were off limits. So coming to terms with, there's a lot of things that are actually okay, and if we're not trying to cover that up with the grace of God, you can actually end up seeing people more as whole persons, or like whole people. Instead of, because I think we all make representations of each other. That's what we do. And in some sense, I've built a representation of my family in my head, but when you stand with them front, and have to relate to all those complicated feelings, that is, I think that is what Diorama is, looking that in the face. So did I talk? we talk about Diorama, like or Hereditary?
No, but I've
Okay.
no. See, that's the interesting thing about it. I sort of came across. You mentioned in another
Yeah.
interview about Hereditary, which I found super interesting. How does that tie together?
Well, Diorama. Have you seen the movie?
No, and I'm
Okay,
ashamed to say that I haven't.
you should. Well, I've obsessed about that movie, like really, really. Coming from the background that I've had, like instead of running screaming away from the demons when my parents got divorced at one point, like they were divorced for like 12 years before they found each other again. But I remember that was the time I just delved deep into Stephen King and H.P. Lovecraft and everything that I could. I wanted to understand those monsters instead of, maybe be friends with them, or at least, I wanted to understand. Um, and yeah, so like I think horror movies has always been like my way of trying to confront, or at least exercise those emotions. Make something weird, uncomfortable, something that I'm supposed to feel familiar. So Diorama comes from the main protagonist in Hereditary. She makes miniature models of really traumatic events in her life. Like she makes dioramas, 3D representations of like scenes from her upbringing.
Mm.
So that is actually how I came about. Like maybe I can take my experiences and hang it on that cultural hook and build something out of that. Um, but the main protagonist, she actually ends up getting possessed by her past, or essentially her in that movie. It starts out with a funeral of her mother,
Yeah.
and even though the mother is dead, her presence looms like really, really heavily over the entire movie. Like that ghost is just oppressing everybody. So that is at least, I see her process of taking something really painful and doing something creative with it, but actually it ends up consuming her. I think that's at least the best parallel I can like bring to that. So each of the songs in the on the track list is kind of like a piece of the narrative, going from conflict into like yeah, it's essentially it's going through like an emotional narrative. So
Yeah.
shock, denial, anger, grief, surrender, or like really emptiness, meaninglessness. I feel there's a lot in Twisten, and then reorganization and trying reconciliation with stuff that actually is something I feel comes out of the concluding track. Um, so yeah.
How reflecting on that and recording it and putting it all out on paper and going through all that, how do you feel now about it? Do you feel like you've had that weight lifted off you, especially performing them?
Yep. Um, it's weird because it feels, yeah, somewhat of a weight being lifted from me, but you know people might tend to worry about the press or the hype, or I like that we get a good reception, but I think the most important thing for me during this weekend was actually me texting my family and saying, like, this is for you, like this is a
Wow.
love letter to you. Why, I'm, you know I wouldn't have been the person or made this stuff with without you messing with my life, and at the same time me messing with yours. So yeah, that was actually pretty important to me to kind of like express that, yeah, acknowledging that story that we've been through together, you know, both the good and the bad. It's my way of drawing a line in the sand.
Have they seen you perform?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we did an award show a couple of years back. I brought my father to that show with my little brother, and yeah, you know, that's the time where he was like, yeah, I see where this is going. Like, you know, you know how family dinners can be. You know,
Yes.
are you still doing that music thing? Yeah. But you know, I've kept doing it for a long time, and now, you know, this is what I do, or at least that's what I like to do. I do have a day job as a social worker as well.
Oh,
But
wow. See,
yeah.
I mean, most musicians these days do, but it's that other part of them, you know, like you wish you could. I don't know about you, man, but me, I wish I could be that person 24/7. You know what I mean? It's just
I
that
actually I
feeling.
don't.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't. I feel I work with teenagers, and I work with like 10 to 14-year-olds, and then from 14 and up to
Wow.
18. And I feel that work actually keeps me grounded in some sense. You know, they don't know who the fuck I am, like in this particular context.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, it just, I know that line of work just keeps you in a sense of appreciation of, you know, each and every aspect of your life. I know my boss and many of my colleagues, you know, do know what I'm doing. So when I have to get, you know, a leave to go on tour and stuff like that, you know, that's a part of the deal. But
Yeah.
it's just, I feel it does something really well to me, to know that, you know, I have to be down to earth. I have to keep myself leveled, and my, you know, primary job is actually maintaining relationships, or you know, being at a pretty vulnerable place and time in some young people's lives,
Yeah.
where it's not their parents talking to them, but, you know, it's just the dude that recently were a teenager. Well, it's a while back, but, you know, that just gives you, I think it gives you perspective, and a pretty needed one. I wouldn't, I can't say, I'd love to tour, of course I do.
Yes.
I would,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't think it's healthy to tour like 8 months. I feel that I need my sense of grounding with who I am as a person, and that also comes from that line of work. You know what? I have no back. There's no like.
Back
I'm
up.
not supposed to do anything after this, so, you know, let's keep going.
Oh, cool, man. Oh,
Whenever.
yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. Hey, man, that's sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a few more minutes, man. Hey, you know, but it's talking about that. Of course, my wife, she's a teacher, but part of her role is that she deals with a lot of the kids that, you know, need help and things like that. And she finds it incredibly rewarding. And, you know, you need to, I can see how important that would be to you as well, and to have that balance.
Yeah. Well, like, all of us have day jobs. My drummer is actually my neighbor, Ken. He lives just across the street, and he also works as a social worker.
Well, man.
Yeah, so like, and like, you know, it's just weird because him and I, like, when I started, you know, in the band, that him and I we just didn't click. Like, I thought he was such a loud mouth and really like just saying a lot of shit stuff. And I was like really self-righteous and still kind of religious and like, oh,
Yeah.
he's just, but you know, he during this pandemic, like he's become one of my, or also before that, but you know, when you've traveled a bit of road together, you kind of end up seeing sides of yourself, or get to know a person and why they react, how they react. So like he thanks to him, I know that he's a really tidy guy. So and I'm a big mess. And my room right here, one of the reasons why it's kind of organized is because like he loves to go and reorganize things. My girlfriend is really happy for that too.
See, I'm the same, man. I'm very much the same. If you saw this, it's just action figures and chaos. And my
Yes.
wife is the whole thing is just Ninja Turtles there, Transformers back there, Evil
Yeah.
Dead here.
Yeah.
And
Your dungeon. Yeah.
it is my
This is my dungeon too. I have camera gear and virtual reality stuff and too many vinyls.
is that have you hey, in saying that, have you got your album? Have you got Diorama on Vine? Or is that it back there? See, I'm just old and blind, mate. But that is, you've given it a spin, of course.
I have, yeah. I think there are like 5 different colors for it. And we actually got it pressed here in Denmark, because if we were to wait for the pressing plants in where is it usually they do it? I think they do it in Prague or somewhere. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, we would have to wait until 23. Yeah, that was not going to happen.
I got mates down here that are like waiting for their vinyl. Like the albums are out, but they've got to wait for because of delays.
Yeah,
it's insane.
But RPM Records in or the pressing plant in Copenhagen actually did all of ours. So I think there should be, you know, they're available for purchase now, I think.
Gotta get it, man. Okay, is it the gray one?
Right. That I have a pink, black one down back there, and there's we have a band exclusive when we're touring or doing live shows. We sell like one that is like a transparent red and with black swirl in it.
Yeah, man.
And the gray one, that is, I think that's the one that Evil Greed got as an exclusive.
Man, I've got to get it, hey. I need it because, as I said before, I fell down the vinyl rabbit hole, and that's, you know, that was man. I've had vinyl for years, but I've never had anything to play on it. And I had some really good friends of mine in other bands that they surprised me while I was on stage, came out and gave me a record player, and man, there's something about the ritual.
You can dial your stereo up to, you know, whatever you want without it getting
it's the best. But I think it's the ritual of it, dude. I think it forces me to sit
you have to be present with the music.
100%, man. 100%. And we're, you know, like
reserve time.
Yeah, I can listen to it, man. I have a day job where I can listen to music all day in my headphones.
Oh yeah.
You know, I work in a printing factory. So it's cool, but I much prefer to do this now. And I really want to get your new album so I can sit here, chuck on Diorama, and just appreciate it the way it's meant to. I think it's meant to sound.
It is, like, you know, the production that Tue Madsen has done on this one is like really, it's warm, it's pretty organic in my opinion. Like, so I feel that it's really made for vinyl. At least that's something I know we all had in our minds, that this, you know, this is something that has to be heard as a whole. Even though that, you know, each of the songs can function as singles. That was what I talked about, you know, each track having a kind of like an identity of its own. But knowing that it's not, it's thought out, to be in that succession. That is something that we like, and one of the things that I really like about Ken and Nikolai's songwriting. We discussed track listing a lot, and this record on top of the tracks from Your also makes for some really interesting live sets.
See, that's what I was going to ask you. Have you played this? Have you guys jammed from start to finish?
Yeah. I think there's still 2 songs that we haven't like really done, or at least performed live, like Diorama, the title track, and Twisten. Those are the ones that we've tried them out in the rehearsal space, but I just need a second voice on the concluding track.
Catherine, is it Catherine from Sylvain?
Exactly.
She's incredible, dude. Both of you together. Oh man, it's like an incredible track, dude.
You know what? To begin with, I wasn't sure if I was gonna do any of those clean vocals. It was actually Tue that convinced me.
Man.
Like I had a lot of placeholders with demos when I entered the studio, and I was like, yeah, I'm imagining that feature there, and he was like, no, shut up, you do it. What? Why? You did it once, you can do it again. Come on, like you can do it. Yeah. So essentially, it's so well. It really feels. That was the thing I talked about, the mask. Like,
yes.
I feel the harsh vocals is a great mask.
Yes.
And your singing voice is just so personal and vulnerable at the same time. Mm-hmm. And in some sense, it kind of invited this album, and was kind of inviting some of that to come out, but I wasn't sure if I was going to do it, because like I know my harsh vocals, that's my game. Like I know what I'm doing, but with the clean ones, it just felt so intense.
But you nailed it, man. Like it sounds so good, dude. And like I love
thanks to Tue. Thanks to Tue, because he was like, yeah, we're gonna take the time you need. Just get comfortable with it, play around with it, and that sense of of playfulness, that I think that actually gave me the confidence to be like, okay, yeah, let's do this.
So what about now? How do you feel about exploring more of that now? Have you broken that sort of confidence barrier?
Yeah, I think so, in some sense, but it is a task, go from high raspy vocals to falsetto.
Oh, it's like changing gears, dude.
Yeah, like I've been really concerned with that, especially when we build it our lives. It's like, please don't put the clean parts like in some of the concluding tracks. I'm like at least by now, but I'll get the hang of it. I know Nikolai, he didn't. Tue sent us the tracks with these vocals, and Nikolai was like, whoa, dude, like you can sing. Where'd you hide that? And I was like, I was just not confident with it. And he's like, this opens up new possibilities. Like I was like, okay, yeah. I think I don't think I'll ever go into like full on chorus. I think there's a sense of harshness I really like to keep. Yes. And that is the DNA of our music. Like, but the way to kind of build on top of the atmosphere where it fits the songs and the songwriting, let's do it.
Man, I really want to hear more of that. Like, I think, and both of those, because you're a really good vocalist, dude. And that's one thing I had in my notes is just your screams are so on point, and I really want to see you do it live because I know it'd sound amazing. But also the clean stuff, because I know, like, I feel like you're in my head right now, man. You're saying all the things that I think about all the time as a vocalist. It is easy to get up there and do the yelly yelly screamy growly shit, but then to sort of you feel very vulnerable. I did it last night, man, and I was like, had everyone sort of looking at me doing it, and it was even a cover. And I'm like,
Close
oh,
your
that feeling.
eyes.
Hey, I know. I'm like, just look over there. But you know,
Yeah.
after you do it, man.
Do a main ad. Like stand
Oh,
behind some curtain, please.
oh man, and do the knee stomp.
Yeah.
But that's the hardest thing. It is the hardest thing in the world. So, but I all the respect to you, mate, that you've gone and not only done it, but you've broken through that and recorded something that's going to be timeless. Because this song, is just incredible. Album's
You
incredible.
know what? That song is actually pretty much an homage to some of our favorite Danish indie rock bands.
Yeah.
Have you heard about Mew?
Man, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they have a track on their album Frangers called Comforting Sounds. This is our Comforting Sounds.
Wow. Yeah. And you do. I know you said that you can't, or you're not really going to do it live yet, or I haven't done it live. But is it something that
We haven't done it live, but we want to.
Want to?
Yeah. No,
So,
definitely.
I mean, obviously, you said you need another voice, but how would you do that? Would you?
Well, I actually do have a TC Helicon voice live too that can do like an octave below.
Yep.
That would be one way of going about it, but I'd love for one of the other guys to do at least the second, or maybe like we have like a really great friend called Christian. He did the Ghost Bath tour with us. He's like a really nice indie vocalist. Like his voice is amazing. He actually did a couple of the Your songs with us when we toured. So having a driver slash feature on could make it work out. But the dream would actually be to do full on duet with Catherine. That would be amazing.
How did you know her?
Well,
mates through a scene, or?
Well, I know Nikolai. He listened a lot to Sylvain, and I got to listen to her a bit more. Like she is like the Norwegian female version of Niche from Alceste. So we had a lot of different voices that we wanted to try to put into to kind of put some extra texture into the sound.
Yep.
So but I she was amazing to work with. So she got it. Like she really identified with the songs and came up with a couple of really good both choral parts and like her main lead parts. So Tua did his best to kind of orchestrate the whole thing. So yeah, and we have another feature as well on Photophobic. That is actually Mirza Radanchika from Siamese, and he's actually the manager of the band.
There you go.
Yeah. He does the falsetto part, and I do the backing, the secondary voice. Yes, and one of the cool things about that is that's not his usual style of singing. Wow. Like he's more like dance Gavin Dance Don Brocco, like really full on like pop singing voice, but he did something different, and it kind of blended into our universe like seamlessly. So just putting it out there, it's not a female vocal, it's actually
there you go,
our good friend Mirza. Yeah,
exclusive. That's incredible. That is incredible. It sounds like with this album that everything's come together. Mate,
Feels
and
like it though.
man, you're touring though. You're going to be hitting the road in February, I believe, aren't you? On the
Yeah,
big
yeah,
tour.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah, like
prepping for that,
February,
man.
we're going to out with some of our former like label mates, Ithaca. They they were on Holy Roar as well. So it's just nice to be with people that you kind of know, and yeah. So we're really looking forward to that. You know, I just I have a lot of hopes for 2022.
Me too. I've got hopes that you get down here.
Me too.
Yeah.
See, that would be the dream. Like, I
Have
would
you ever
really love
been?
to do it.
Have you ever been to Australia? It's a
No,
long way. I know, man.
yeah, I know, but it's an experience, and I think an experience that we would really like to have.
Yeah. Hey man, bring the wife down. Or your fiance, sorry.
Oh yeah,
I should
yeah,
say,
yeah.
correct myself there. But hey man, that's come on down, bring everyone down and you get to experience because I don't know where you are right now, but I think it's
Yeah.
yesterday. What day is it? It's like Tuesday.
It's Wednesday here.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're a few hours. See, it's weird, man. I talk to some people that it's like yesterday. You're like, man, it's Tuesday. What the but man,
Yeah, well, the Aussies, they were the ones who started screaming like "Happy Meal Day," like before everyone else. So it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, it might be 12 o'clock, but they're like way.
yeah. We're way into the future, man.
Yeah.
And I think you guys would have an absolute blast. There's a whole bunch of bands down here that I think
Mm.
you would just have an absolute blast with. Or some bands that I think you'd really dig as well. If
Yeah.
you like these guys, man,
Yeah.
check out like Growth.
Yes.
Have you
Yes.
heard Growth?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got them recommended, I think, a couple of weeks back.
Yep.
Because since we've done, obviously a lot of Australian interviews.
Yes.
I've been doing some digging around the scene. I'm, I like to explore. When I was younger, I used to go to the public library and just sift through all the CDs. So, like streaming services are actually in godsend in that regard. Like,
Absolutely.
latest artist and discover section. I'm just still doing that every morning.
Have you heard the Amenta?
The Amenta? Yes, I have.
My favorite Australian band. Shout out to Kane, like absolute madman. Yeah. Oh, it's nasty. It's disgusting. See, down here, I don't know.
So good. I love the industrial vibe.
Oh, best.
Mm-hmm.
Best. Mate, I think we just became best friends.
Yeah.
But man, I really hope to see you guys very, very soon. And we need to get that vinyl. I got it on my wish list. But in the meantime, everyone can pre-order it. We will have all the links down here. Kim, thank you for hanging out on the show, man.
Thank you.
Sure.
It's been a real pleasure talking to you, man.
Yeah, you too, dude. You too.